Thank you for the audience to join us and welcome to this talk on critical thinking for career and life. I'm very sure all of us have been listening to this buzzword critical thinking in all walks of life, uh, be it in different ways, say in the world of education, starting from nursery to PhD, everybody talks about why are you not able to think critically about this issue. And in a similar way, even if it is a profession, any of the professional courses, in most of the countries, the freshers courses introduce critical thinking as part of the course and enhance their thinking ability, which will also result in learning ability of the students. On top of it, even the management sciences courses and also in corporate sectors, critical thinking has been called for a lot these days. Even to quote the latest highly read writer, Yuval Noah Harari says critical thinking is part of our life. And a person, we also have a saying in Telugu, which says a person who is not able to think critically is not a person who can advance in life in any way. So these are the issues these are the areas really where we are looking for developing critical thinking. To go ahead, I would like our participants, because this is a small compact group, I do not want this to be a one-side talk continuously. I request you to participate in the activity as we go on. Before we go into, let me give a brief outline of what I plan to do today in this session. One is we'll be discussing what exactly is this critical thinking, which everybody is asking for. Let's also look at why critical thinking at this point of time and how do we develop critical thinking skills. We'll also look at what are the differences between facts, inferences, interpretation. We'll look at intellectual traits, standards, and domains of critical thinking. Of course, if we have time, we'll be looking at ecosystem of critical thinking and what exactly can critical thinking do to our life and career. With that brief introduction, let us move on to a small activity that I request you to do. Could you all please log into menti.com? So I request all of you to click on menti.com. Menti.com. You can do it from your mobile if you have logged into your system to be part of this meeting. And as soon as you click on menti.com, it asks a box appears on your screen and it asks for a code. The code is 74 15 31 and 2. I posted in the chat box. Could you please view that and enter the quiz? The question here is, each of us have a different view on critical thinking. So what exactly does critical thinking mean to you? How do you understand critical thinking? You can give one phrase, one word or one phrase or 2-3 phrases that really strike you when you listen to this term critical thinking. Okay, we start getting the responses from a couple of you. Somebody says it is ability to think rationally, analyze something, logical answering, reasoning, application, positive, negative aspects of things, analyzing pros and cons of something, logic, analysis, education of facts, application. Others include multi-dimensional thinking, rethinking about the things, and thinking all the aspects of something possible. I will share the screen so that you can see your own responses. Okay, I see only 7 active people responding to this, and the answers given are already something which I read out. So let's continue with our presentation again. To get back to what critical thinking means and how we need to understand, the slide that I showed you before is an example to say that critical thinking is not a single uh, term or does not involve a single skill that we need for education or life. To understand this better, let me tell you how wide and how varied and multidimensional this particular term means. Right. Critical thinking has a host of skills involved in it and makes it completely critical. Now, as you have mentioned already, critiquing doesn't mean being or critical, or critiquing doesn't mean you talk only about the negative. It means you talk about the pros and cons, the positives and negatives of an existing concept or idea or information to that matter. It includes conceptualization, synthesizing, evaluating, identifying the purpose, includes assumptions that we have, conceptual thinking, as I was talking about, empirical grounding, reasoning, objecting, frame of reference. Think of what frame of reference this does have related to any kind of news or message that we receive. And we also look for sound evidence that ways. What exactly can make us believe on a concept or a news that is given to us? Then what is the relevance of it? How consistent is the information given? What precision does it have? How accurate is the information? What is the breadth of the concept that is given to us? What is the depth of it? How do we communicate? How is it communicated to us, and how do we communicate our knowledge on this particular concept to others? You also look at how scientifically we think about scientific thinking in terms of having a hypothesis or a research question or a problem to be solved, and how do you go step by step to finally resolve it or find a solution for it. And mathematical thinking in the sense of using numbers, using some kind of equations, like I give so much to you and you give so much to me, and how does it equal kind of calculation, reflecting, reasoning, analyzing, applying. So these are, I should say again, not a comprehensive list of what falls under critical thinking. So let's look at how we resolve this issue of how to define critical thinking, such a broad term that we have, and how exactly we can go about defining it in a more precise manner. I propose to say that critical thinking is a goal-oriented conscious thinking. Anything that we consciously think with a goal is considered to be critical thinking. I propose this as a definition for critical thinking, and this worked very well when I worked for my research as well. So moving on to looking at what we have already done as part of defining critical thinking. Let's move on to why do we need critical thinking? Once again, I call for your participation and attention. Let me give this link to all of you to join me in Google Forms. And this will be the last one, I promise. I know most of you are not very comfortable being questioned. when you thought you will relaxedly listen to somebody talking and seem like watching. Yeah, this is a Google form link. Let's look at different kinds of concepts that we have learned when we were young, when we all were in school, maybe people who were in 1970s born or earlier born one. Um, Generally have a different set of facts which they believe in, and now things have changed. So let's look at a couple of things that we believe to be facts before and look at how they're treated now. I request you to log in and complete this task. Yeah, very interesting responses. Let's look at the questions first and also look at your responses. There are 7 statements that I gave here. One is the sun rises in the east. The second one is Shah Jahan built Taj Mahal. The third, British introduced English language in our curriculum to unite Indians. The fourth one, history textbooks present the past facts. The fifth is teachers are the only source of gaining knowledge to students. Sixth, printed or electronic media are reliable and genuine. The last one, the husband to wife says, I live and die for you. So these are the statements which I request your response for, whether you consider them to be facts, you do not consider them to be facts, or you don't know. Hope my screen is visible to all of you. Let's look at responses now. Now for the sun rises in the east, most of you have given an answer saying it is true even today. Now, after we understood the Earth's rotation, revolution, and the process of having days and nights and years, we also understood that there is no movement in the sun. It is the Earth that is moving to see to experience day and light on this planet. So is the sun doing any action like racing is a question. And of course, we did not think it in these terms. Once upon a time when we were really following Wren and Martin as our Bible for English grammar, all of us had this idea that sun rises in the east because that is a stock example given, particularly for simple present tense. Now, with science giving us so much of knowledge related to what sun does and what earth does, do you think still it's the right statement? It's a question. Now, let's move on to Shah Jahan built Taj Mahal. We also started looking at, it's not Shah Jahan who built it because he did not carry even a brick of it or a marble stone of it. It is 22,000 different architects, sculptors, and masons who built Taj Mahal. Right, moving on to British introduced English in India to unite the Indians. Did British really think about uniting us? British wanted to break our backbone, that is the strong education system we used to have before. So look at the point here. The point is British introduced English in our curriculum to unite Indians. And the intention of British is to break the backbone of India, that is the education system. And in allowing people to get educated in the language that they are comfortable with, doesn't allow British to rule India. And English was introduced to India in 1835 with Macaulay's Minutes. Now, we understand that it's not to benefit Indians in any way. Maybe after the British left, English must have been working as one of the languages that unite us, or a common language that we could communicate across the language division we have in the whole country. But truly is what is the intention of British is something which we have already learned through history. So that doesn't stand as a good evidence to say yes now. Moving on to history textbooks present the past facts. Since 2002, there is a big hue and cry in the parliament talking about what exactly is going into CBSE textbooks and what is that history, that past of India that we are trying to give it to our children. So everything that is presented is from the point of view of the Congress or the British is what the complaints were from the opposition party. And most of the textbooks that we are looking at is only from the viewpoint of an individual who is writing the history. If you look at many of the facts that you wanted to recollect, say in your childhood, the fact remains the same. What you have experienced is different from what your parents have looked at you from. And it again differs from what your father knows about you, what your mother knows about you as your actions and learning and growth. So if the same is taken as history of for an individual, how does a history of a place, of a huge country with multiple cultures, how can you decide that this exactly is the history of the country? Now that is another issue. So what is presented in the history textbooks may not be the past facts. The next one, unfortunately, everybody says no to the teacher being the only source of gaining knowledge to the students. Once upon a time, it was believed to be so. But now with multiple sources of information, particularly after this Internet of Things have come into our lives, we hardly have much to do with information to be given to the students, but have many other things to be done. Of course, this is not to demean the position of the teacher in any way. I'm the teacher and I'm not talking about teacher's role, but we are talking about knowledge source. Moving on to the next issue, that is print and electronic media are reliable and genuine. And almost all of you have agreed to this point that they are not genuine now. And fortunately, a couple of people, I don't know if they're men and women, they say, yes, husband saying to the wife that I live and die for you is true. And maybe women dominated group. And so we have many saying no and many say don't know even. Right. This might be believed as a blind fact, maybe after engagement and before marriage, or a love pair says true before wedding and not so true after wedding. It changes from time to time. That's what I wanted to drive the point here at. Thank you for your wonderful participation in this poll. And now let's get back to our question again. Why critical thinking? We understood that the facts that we learned before as part of our education, as part of our life, as part of our career in different ways now cannot be accepted as facts, with numerous ways of analyzing them and different viewpoints that are coming in, with lots of discoveries and innovations happening. Once stated as fact cannot be taken as fact forever. So what to learn is not a question today, but how to learn is a question. And how do you learn how to learn is what critical thinking is. And a common example for all of us is teaching fishing. It's not to fill hungry mouths with a fish, but which lasts only for a day. But if you teach how to fish, it lasts for a life. So this is a common kind of example given to say what to learn is never a survival kind of one. Maybe if I learn how to solve a single problem, we know that, okay, you have a key for a particular box, and you know how to open it and close it. You are an expert in that. Your skills are appreciated. But what if you get another box with a key that does not open? Don't you need to learn how to create a key and open it? That is life. So the problems and challenges that we face every day and every now and then are not the same. They change from person to person, from time to time, from age to age, from generation to generation, from technology to technology. So when there is a constant change that ways, why and how do you think learning the facts will be enough? Right. So that's where critical thinking is supposed to be taken into serious consideration. Let's look at these. There are three things we've been doing once this pandemic has affected our lives. We started looking at more of lifestyle, how to improve our lifestyle, and prime source for us to get to know what is the right kind of material to buy. Anything that you want to purchase, what is the right thing? It is only the media source. The second thing, we also started focusing more on politics, and the source of getting information related to politics is media again. And the third one, we also started concentrating a lot is on health and diet. So let's now look at how we are bombarded with different kinds of information related to all these. I request you to be active answering my questions related to what you see on the screen, posting in the chat box. I'll be looking at the chat box now. Right. What do you understand with this bottle that is presented here? The bottle is a product of Coca-Cola company, and it says, it also gives the design and says it is a plant bottle, and it saves 30% made from the plants, and it saves our environment. But what is the material that it is made of? Nature's best water, nature's gift, water as a natural source, save the environment. Right. So all of you responded to my, couple of you have responded to my question. It's made of plastic. Finally, it's made of plastic. And what is plastic doing to our environment? How do you think it can save us? And if 30% of it is made from plastic, what about the 70%? From the plants, what about the 70%? Is it dissolvable? Who knows it? Right. So apart from the cool drinks or the soft drinks that Coca-Cola is promoting, Coca-Cola is also promoting water bottles with this concept called plant bottle. Now, moving on to the second one. For a long time, I remember my husband also telling this, that he has used Fair and Lovely for more than 15 years by the time he revealed the secret. And I distinctly remember he complaining that there is no change in his complexion. So what is Fair and Lovely telling us? Only fairness is beauty. That's true. Fair is money for nothing. Fair and Lovely, fair is beautiful. Right. Now, if you see the ad a little carefully, you also look at this dark woman turning to be fair, and only fair is beautiful. That is, the complexion of the skin is more valuable than the features of an individual. So it beats everything. It is defining beauty in terms of what this particular cream talks about. And similarly, if you move on to Hyundai ad, who is a ambassador for Verna car here? Yes, now change to glow and lovely instead of fair and lovely. It's only the term that is being, that small word is being changed from fair to glow, but still it is only part of the same product. It has fair and lovely on the top and it also has glow and lovely on the bottom. The tube is the same and the tube goes as fair and lovely itself. Yes, SRK is trying to, Shah Rukh Khan is trying to promote Hyundai Verna car. Now, how many of you believe this particular hero of ours is using Verna car? Right. So we understand what they promote is something which we are not sure they're using. And if they are not using, how do they expect all the viewers of this advertisement to really use them? The products that they promote. Now comes our incomparable hero, our Mahesh Babu. Look at this. It says Sarileru Nikevaru, incomparable. It is matchless. And he's also talking about thumbs up. And you must have seen the adventurous kind of ads that promote thumbs up, in which Mahesh acts. Is it just promoting? Is it asking us to have just thumbs up? And does thumbs up really give us so much of strength and courage to do all the adventures which our hero is doing? And that too for energy. Nobody can match your thunder. That's a tagline. So it's really difficult for us to come to a conclusion or take a decision on what product to buy based on the ads that are given to us. And it is through the ads that we get an idea of buying or not buying a product. So if you had looked at the recent ad that I was really wondering is Officer's Choice. Two traffic policemen standing on the road, and they are representatives of the ad is about Officer's Choice. And traffic police who are supposed to control the traffic and also to find the people who drink and drive. How can police people really be promoting a product like Officer's Choice, an alcoholic product like Officer's Choice? This is something which is shocking. So certain kind of ads that we look at, but the idea that is being presented is very positive. They stop the convoy of a minister on the Minister Road in New Delhi, and they allow an ambulance to go. See the contradiction in the ad that is being given to us. And what products do we buy? We are surrounded by such kind of advertisements where we are not allowed to think about it. And we take decisions even before who is telling us what. The underlying principle, the motto of it, the power of the words that are being used, and how they prompt us to buy a product, at least give a thought about buying it, is what the advertisements are doing to us. And finally, what do I need is something which nobody wants to know. Now look at these people. These are stars in the news channels. Arnab Goswami, Barkadat, Shekhar Gupta, RK. I also gave Sakshi and all these. Now each of them has a different, not Anna, but Arnab Goswami. Each of them have a different ideology to promote. Each of them has a motto behind being so aggressive on the channel. And how do you think we should believe the news that they give to us. How, how balanced is the news? How unbiased is the news that they give to us? And as all of you agreed, now news channels are not something which are genuine to give any kind of news to us. So where should we turn to? Who should we turn to get the right information that is happening around us? And social awareness is part of our life. You can't keep away from these channels, but at the same time, you cannot believe it even. So what should we do? Do we start looking at what week says, what times says, or what should we do with our channels then? And it is also given in one of the surveys that Telugu is a language that has highest number of channels, news channels particularly. And which channel do you turn to? How do you listen to the news given by them? And what kind of news are they promoting? Who do I believe? And why should I believe them? This is a question again, but we are engaged with it. Now, I don't say any of them is wrong, but this is something like an elephant and blind man team trying to define elephant. If an elephant is given to a team of blind men, they touch each of the parts of the elephant and say, that is what elephant is for me. There's nothing wrong, but that is only one small part of the picture. The whole picture is totally different. And that's how one blind man says it's like a snake. The elephant is like a snake. And one says it is like a spear, looking at the trunk. And one says it's like a fan, looking at its ears, touching its ears. And one says touching its body, it's like a wall. And the other says it's like a rope, touching its tail. And that is what is the problem we have today. So it's one channel's news which talks about one issue, and their perspective is not a real view or a comprehensive view of the things that are happening. So what we are bombarded with in the form of news is not a complete news always, and we definitely have to do a background check to what this happens. The third part of it is we are bombarded with lots of advertisements on health and diet. 28-day keto diet challenge, 900 calorie vegetarian diet plan where you lose 10 kgs in 10 days, and the diet plan, you reduce sugar and it is gayab, sugar is gone, and within 5 days. And intermittent fasting, it gives wonderful results. Non-vegetarian diet completely and you lose 15 kgs a month. You do yoga, you lose 10 kgs a month. And if you look at all these diets and the ads that are given, primarily they are women. I don't know why men are not part of it. Is it that men are not obese? Is it that men do not need these diets? Isn't it part of life that men also have their weight controlled? And what suits me, my body? Who answers this question? It is you. There is no other choice for us. We need to fish out, sort out what exactly suits us and what we need to follow. So these are the different distractions we have in our everyday life, and we hardly have any choice but to listen to them at least once and think very critically, not to get carried away by what they say, but really stop and listen to what exactly is required by me. Why do I need this? Why should I buy a product? Why should I believe in the news that one person gives us? Why should I follow a diet that somebody promotes? So thinking about all these results in why we need to be very critical. So this is a scenario in which we are living now. Moving on to the next idea. Now, what exactly is critical thinking and how different is it from what we regularly do in our thinking. Let's have this small exercise once again. And this is the last one, I promise. Sorry to keep you asking for things continuously for participation. Now, this one says, look at the statement. She locked the car door and walked into the conference hall. This is a statement that is given. How many facts can you think about given in this particular statement? And how many can you infer? And what are your interpretations related to this? What do you understand from this single sentence? Before, maybe a couple of you are not very familiar with what facts, inferences, and interpretations are. So let me give you a small example for it. Facts are what the text really states. Inferences are it's indirectly stated, and interpretations are what you understand from what the text says. Like if I were talking to Swamy and Swamy says, "Ma'am, I think this is not a slide that we can show here." I say, I understand, Swamy. Let's think of a different idea, different way of presenting the same. So, did I agree to Swamy or disagree to Swamy? What you read between the lines is what we call as inference. So finally, interpretation is, okay, Suvarna and Swamy are not really going hand in hand. They are at loggerheads, so they do not want to have a consensus. And that's why two different slides are shown on the same issue. Now, that is what is interpretation. Swamy, sorry for taking this example. It's just to tell the audience what exactly we are planning, how different are facts, inferences, and interpretations. So this also relates to what we call, sorry, that's 45-minute alarm that's going. I started at 9:57. This also relates to three levels of thinking. One is lower order thinking. What exactly is presented as fact? So there is a woman, she knows how to lock the door. There is a car, and the car has a door. She knows how to lock it, and she knows how to walk. There is a conference hall. These are the facts presented. Now, if you talk about inferences, you also understand that this lady must be involved in some kind of activity. She's engaged with car and also the conference hall. What kind of engagement is that? Who should be this lady is what we understand as interpretation. This can be opinions. This also can be extrapolating from the text, going beyond the text and understanding it. With all this, understanding why we need critical thinking, let's move on to what is natural thinking and how critical thinking is different from this natural thinking. One is natural thinking is untrained. All of us have the ability to think. We are born with the ability to think. But that thinking is primarily biased, prejudiced. Am I showing the screen? Is this screen shown to you properly? Let me, how distorted is our thinking? General thinking that we have, which is plain, and the ideas that come to us are primarily influenced by our backgrounds, our habit of thinking. So it's distorted. It is primarily to memorize the facts, and the institution gives us a lot of information and knowledge required. I don't need to learn anything. I go to school. School will teach me what I need to learn. School will tell me what to learn and how to pass the exam, and the teachers will take care of my everything. So your responsibility of doing things is thrown to somebody else, and suddenly you visit some other family, some other place, some other country. You're at culture shock. You're not able to digest it. You don't understand how to receive it if it is different, completely different from what you know as aspects of human life. Then It is also like adopting knowledge and skills. So something is already told or talked to me. So in those lines, I'll be executing them. Moving a little further, if you talk about critical thinking is supposed to be a trained thinking. As individuals, you need to train, regulate your thinking. And when you're doing it very consciously for a goal that you would like to achieve, end of my thinking process, I know how to learn this. I understand what is the intention behind constructing this particular text. I know how much of it is very useful for this part of my life or my career or my education. So processing the information and becoming autonomous in the process of learning. I don't depend on anybody. Now, tomorrow I need to learn something more about critical thinking. I definitely know I go on to Udemy or Canvas, click on free courses that are offered related to critical thinking, and I learn it. So that autonomy of learning, flexibility at will, like I know how flexible I can be. I will not be rigid because I know this is my experience. Somebody can have some other experience and some other idea. I accept that. And critical thinking allows you to be more open, and so it becomes a shock absorber, and it also adopts knowledge and skills. It is not adopting them, but it is adapting knowledge and skills. So once you know how to make the key, n number of problems you encounter, you know how to resolve them. This is an ecological system of critical thinking. Language is a base for thinking and functioning in a society. We look at individuals as human beings, and human beings existing in a system or society. So based on that, language is based on three different aspects. One, language is constructed through culture. And based on the culture, we also have our own personal experiences which form our schemata. And these two will be slightly modified through education. And if language based on culture, education, and schemata is supposed to be providing us critical thinking abilities, it has to be trained in a scientific manner. And the training also will be very systematic in the form of strategy training. Now, critical thinking, again, can be broadly divided into three areas. One is creative thinking, logical reasoning, and problem solving. Finally, it results in social implications. It has lots of social implications. How does an individual have to live in a society? How do I contribute to my country? What do I get from my country is a secondary question. So what duties I have comes first to what rights I have. Then application of knowledge and what kind of conclusions do you draw from what you have already done. So this is what critical thinking exactly means in a social system. If you are to be successful in your career and life, you need to understand how language is core to the system of living. And again, thinking and language go together to present our individual self and also the knowledge that we have acquired. When it comes to critical thinking for career, let me focus on very few things. I think we are running out of time. Swamy, can I take 5 more minutes just to conclude?
No
Swamy,
problem,
ma'am.
Yeah, please
Yes,
feel
madam.
free, ma'am.
Right.
There is
Thank
nothing.
you.
There is no
So,
hurry. You
Take 10
can
minutes
slow
also,
it
ma'am.
down. Also, not a problem.
that's great. Thank you. So we have intellectual traits. Traits are intellectual humility, courage, autonomy, integrity, perseverance, confidence in reason, and fair-mindedness. I do not have much of time to elaborate on these. Humility is thinking that I am not the best one here. There are lots of other people and lots of knowledge available across with many others. So that intellectual humility and the courage to question and independence, autonomy in the sense of independence to function, and integrity, it is self-integrity, and continuous way of working on a similar kind of one. Once you have an objective, you should not be a beginner and leaving that. So that perseverance should be there. And are you sure about what you're talking? That confidence in reason and how unbiased we are, fairness we have in our thinking and functioning. Similarly, the standards of critical thinking are the intellectual standards that a critical thinker needs to adopt to are clarity, accuracy, and precision. How precise you can be, not being very verbose in the way you express things. How relevant is the idea? What is the depth of the knowledge that you have and the breadth of the knowledge you have related to the ideas that you encounter or the concepts that you have understood? And what is logic and fairness? Now, these are intellectual standards. You also have domains of knowledge. Primarily, all of us know across the educational institutions, starting from LKG to PG, everybody knows that there is Bloom's taxonomy. We have 6 levels, but most of the times we also forget that the domains of knowledge that Bloom's taxonomy has talked about is also affective thinking, which is related to feelings and emotions of an individual. So unfortunately, this is being forgotten. Of course, psychomotor skills are considered to be very primary for an individual, but that is not the case. It is required for all of us throughout our lives. So what are the benefits of becoming critical thinkers? One is, as I was going through in the previous slides and insisting on, these are the points to put together. We become engaged in the process of learning, and so we become lifelong learners because we are not dependent on others to do that. Learning tends to be permanent. Whatever we have learned, we have put in our heart and soul in it, so there is no chance of forgetting what we have learned. And it also allows us to learn more independently. And it allows us to face challenges and also facilitates skills transfer. Developing critical thinking skills can be done in this way. Practicing critical thinker, you need to make critical thinking as a habit. It's not receiving information as it is. It is to critique things before you receive. You understand the intentions, power, knowledge that is behind any information that you encounter. So clarity in your objectives. Do I need to really learn this? Do not learn this? I don't require this kind of things. So when you get a lot of information, you also need to sift it through. Say, this is not necessary for me, but this is necessary for me. And in a similar way, you also you're open to ideas, and you also keep inviting ideas. You increase your wait time for the fruits of what you have done. Let's take a change. Let's take a chance. For example, continuously CBSE syllabus previously, not now. I'm not talking about the results now. Previously used to give very rigidly the marks. Now it is open and it is very liberal in giving the grades. But previously, once upon a time, it was like that when compared to the state. So both of them used to get, say, a state board passed student used to gain about 80 to 90% marks very easily, but a CBSE student used to hardly get 70, 78, which is considered to be very good. But the fruits of allowing you to think and learn is more related to CBSE when compared to the state boards. So the fruits took a longer time to see the success of a student. And that is what I'm trying to tell you to wait for. You need to be sensitive to the biases present in the text and also accept the heterogeneity in our society. Finally, to give the last word, I also recommend particular things that happen in our life to make our lives very, very peaceful and happy. Finally, are we healthy? Are we happy? Is what matters for us. So, who is going to win tomorrow? Is it Trump? If you are a contestant in American elections, true, it matters for you a lot. If you or your children's or your kith and kin's family is going to get closely or badly affected by the results of American elections, true, you're supposed to get worried about it. But otherwise, ignore. That's the best way. Lots of information keeps coming. Well, there is a civil war. South Korean president is gone unseen. So how do this information really matters for us? How much of it is important for us? So ignore most of them. Know what to ignore even, and know what to focus on. Similarly, the objective that you state for yourself is different from, is to be very focused and has to be slightly very precise, achievable at times. So your functioning, your learning, your thinking, your life is all dependent on your objectives. The next is learn to be very accommodative. Others have other perspectives, it doesn't matter for us. Let them have. Every individual has a right to have a different perspective, has a right to have follow a different ideology. So how does that matter? So somebody is a theist, somebody is an atheist. How does it matter for us? So be accommodative and be more humane. If you cannot do any help to others, at least understand and be sympathetic towards them. And finally, if there is a rat race that's happening around you, it mostly happens in educational institutions. I published so many papers, I completed so many projects. Does it really matter for you, for your career, for your life? I got a promotion today, I got so much of increment today. So does it really matter for you? Are you running a race with that person? And in that case, what is your objective? How do you think you can achieve that objective? And that strategic kind of achievement is what is required. So prioritize what is more important for you, and that makes your life peaceful. Give up all the unnecessary rat races that are around us. Everybody, starting from wealth to the comfort that they have in life, to the achievements they have, the applause they received, nothing matters really for us to keep us happy. The minute you start comparing with others, particularly related to their achievements in terms of the material growth, it really doesn't give us any kind of peace or happiness. Are you fine with your family, with your parents, with your children? Can you help others beyond this circle? How good are you? And does it make you happy? And that is the way of being very critical in the way you live. Thank you. And finally, make critical thinking a way of your life. With that, I close, and now I'm open to questions. Before, I don't know if Swamy will give me another chance, so let me express my gratitude to Swamy to give a chance to meet you all in this way.